Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Dino Valley and revisiting some of my ideas in my previous Dino Valley video and adding to them, and also some of my theories and new ideas that I have. A little bit of a spoiler warning for this video. I'm going to be talking about like the main storyline and also some spoilers that people have been in Ashland and just like the photos and the videos that people have taken there. And I just want to include a spoiler warning because I don't want to like ruin this main story by talking about like what happens if no one has caught up to it yet. And also for Ashland, it'll probably be updated so it won't look exactly like the photos and videos that people have taken, but I just don't want to like ruin the surprise for anyone. And so yeah, moving on to the environment and just some things that I think would be fun to add. I think adding deep snow similar to what we have during the winter village and like the winter update. Only deep snow in like certain areas, and maybe in these areas it could be snowing more. Currently it's snowing everywhere in Dino Valley, but maybe here it could be like more of a snowstorm instead of like the light snow that we have. And also adding mist over the water, because currently there's like some water exposed and it's not just all ice. So I think that'd be interesting. And also for the fog, I thought the fog was gone, or it looked different compared to like early in the game when it was Dino Valley was first added, but I think it was only from a glitch from the winter village. But maybe fog in certain areas, it could be foggier. Those are just some things that I would like to add for the environment. So moving on to my next idea. The main area in Dino Valley, which is Nick Stoneground's camp. I would really love a home stable here. I just love Dino Valley, and even if it was like not like an actual home stable, just like a temporary spot where it's like a trailer. I think it's similar to Tailtop Village. I don't think that one's like a traditional home stable. It's kind of like a hill or something, but I think it could be something similar to this where it could be like a cabin or a tent. And I would love for this to be something our character helps build. And I think we do that around the area too with like the stores and the restaurant that's there. And I'd love for this to take our character like a bit. I think like minimum 4 days, but honestly maybe like a month. I think something to work towards in the game would just be really nice. And I think along with this quest we could get to know Nick and his niece Micah. Micah was at the Cloud Kingdom. I don't think this character has been in the game since, but it would be nice to see Micah return. And I would also love to get to know the NPCs in this area. We do have like a couple of quests with them, but maybe just like more backstory would be cool. And then along with the home stable, I would love to have a championship here. Probably just like on the ice, like similar to the race that we already have. Just like staying in that area. I just think it would be really fun. And then along with that, I would really want the cold tolerance back. I loved this game feature. And like, yeah, it was like annoying sometimes, especially if you were like a newer star rider and you didn't have a lot of star coins saved up. You couldn't get the horse, but I would really love it back. And I think something that would probably help like newer players in this area would have like our starter horse be able to tolerate cold, or like a blanket, like a stable blanket or something that you could put on your horse. Or at least on your starter horse. Like, it doesn't have to be on all the horses that gives this effect, but just the starter horse would be nice, so at least players have at least one free horse. Like, you don't have to buy a new one. Yeah, and I would love to see the cold tolerance return with the updated fjords. So my next idea for this area I did mention in a previous video, but it's that one daily quest that we have with Nick to map out that main part of the area. I would love to like expand on this and have it be similar to like in Minecraft, where you can like make this giant map of your entire world. And with this like daily quest, we could slowly map out Dino Valley, and maybe when you like finish that one part, you could like move on to like the next part and we could have this like giant map of Dino Valley. And maybe on this map you could have like the spots where you do like the dinosaur bone discovering activity. So it's like easier to find. I'm really confused because in the game it calls it archaeology, but I'm pretty sure it's actually paleontology because that's the one about dinosaurs. Yeah, moving on to my next idea. I mentioned this in a previous video. I don't think it was the Dino Valley one. I think it was a different one, but it is having like a personal museum to see everything that you've like collected in the game, or at least like the antiques and the dinosaur bones you've collected in the game. And there is a museum, not like that you can like visit a lot, but there's one in the main story where you go to get the harp. I would just love to see that come back and kind of revamping the paleontology activity that we have, like they did with the fishing, to make it like easier and simpler, but also more fun for players to do, because the current one that we have is like a lot, but also it is kind of nice because when you're in the area close to where the stone is, you kind of get a message that like you're near one. So I think with this museum, like you could go and visit and see what progress you have made and also what collections that you want to start. And I think it would be really fun, similar to like how you can visit other people's home stables, you can visit other people's parts of the museum and see like what they've done. And like maybe they could add more collections for the player to look for, and like more pieces of clothing and tack, and then also possibly like a club exclusive one. I hope that they've started doing more stuff with clubs. We have that Clubs United, that's a part of the birthday event, which is really exciting. And I did mention in my club video like just other ideas for clubs, so I think a club exclusive like collection that you could all work on together would be nice. And obviously for this one, it could be like, it could take longer since there could be more people that are working on it. So for my next idea, similar to the museum where it's kind of like a progression system and like similar to Valedale, I did mention this in my previous video, but it would be with Magnus Steiner. So this progression system could be about stone cutting, and you get unlock rewards that are like related to that. And in the main story quest where you meet Magnus, it's where we have to cut like a new Pandorian piece. Before we leave, Magnus says he would love to teach us more. So I think it would be kind of nice if they circled back to this idea and kind of like worked upon it. And this would obviously have to take place after this part of the main story, which is around level 17, level 18. And I think we could also meet up with the blacksmith in Moreland, Conrad, who was a big fan of Magnus, and you kind of learn that in that part of the main story quest. And you could have like one of these paths, like in Valedale there's 3 different ones, so one of these could be with him. Okay, so for Ashland, I'm going to start with my main story predictions and then move on to my ideas for this area. So after the main story quest, Garnock was almost released on Jorvik, but was defeated and took Mr. Sands with him. The Dark Riders escaped and Darko escaped too. I'm pretty sure they escaped separately. So the volcano that is currently in this area, I think it could be used to bring back Garnock or Mr. Sands from wherever they went, or just in some way help the Dark Riders. One of Erissa's dolls can be found here walking towards the entrance to Ashland, so the team must have been hinting at it being important in some way. It could just be an Easter egg for what the original idea was for Ashland, because it was rumored that the main story quest was supposed to take place here. And I know people during the last story quest were kind of like confused because Ashland hasn't been on the map yet. So I think when this doll was added to the game, I'll put up when it was added, I think it was hinting at the main story taking place here, because all the dolls that were found on the rest of Jorvik, they were in important like main story quest areas. So moving on to the mystery of who lives in the house on Ashland. Darko has been rumored to be the one who lives here, but I think it could be one of the Dark Riders who actually lives here and this is where they escaped to, or Darko escaped to this house. But one of my ideas is that it could possibly be one of the Vala witches, since we currently only know Sylvie, but there used to be a whole coven, so maybe one of the Vala witches lives here and that's where the Dark Riders went to kind of like seek help. But whatever the team decides the quest line is, and after we complete it, I had a couple of ideas of what activities could take place here. So similar to the museum, I think more dinosaur bone collections could be added here, like that are like you could find here. and maybe Nick Stoneground would want to like learn more about this area, so we could have like a side quest similar to like Marching Gas where we learn about that area. We could learn about the backstory of Ashland and just more about Dino Valley. So moving on to my theory about the Ice Witch and Isendale. So I think that the Ice Witch is a part of the Vala. I know a lot of people think that the Ice Witch is Katya, but I don't think it is, because when Garnok's ship crashed in the sea next to Jorvik, it was said his generals were on the ship with him, and his generals are the Dark Riders, meaning the Dark Riders are also aliens, so I don't think the Ice Witch could be Katya because of this. But possibly before an earlier version of the game, it was meant to be Katya, but I don't know. I think my theory, this could be someone else. So another reason why, other than the Dark Riders being aliens, it is said that the Ice Witch has been around since the medieval times. I think this was said in one of the books. I got this from a Reddit post, so take it with a grain of salt. So it could be from the early quest with Nick Stoneground or the books. But it was said that she was a good witch and helped people before turning to dark magic. And I saw another Reddit post about the Winter Village creatures, and they made a joke about how they should call the Ice Witch. I don't remember that quest, but I'll put up a screenshot of it. Apparently it's in the game. And the post also said that the Caprons and the gnomes wouldn't work with the Dark Riders because they're more of like a neutral character rather than evil ones. And this sort of aligns with what we know of Sylvie and the Vala and how she describes them, because they're neutral and they protect the balance on Jorvik. And Sylvie ends up helping both the Soul Riders and the Dark Riders. The Ice Witch kind of went from being a good witch to turning to dark magic. And this also aligns with Pi in Golden Hills. Not saying Pi is a part of the Vala Witches, because she ended up being really afraid of them, but we ended up like healing her from that darkness, and then now she's like a neutral character again. And another reason why I don't think the Ice Witch is Katya is because the Vala have been on Jorvik since Aideen was on the island, and the Kallters, who have been on Jorvik before any recorded history, serve a queen with a heart of ice, and they are so close to Garnok's Fury, the volcano, and they're exposed to magic energies that the rest of Jorvik has never seen. And the Ice Witch lives in Isendale, and I'm pretty sure another quest line kind of confirms that it is the Ice Witch that the Kallters like look up to, or that they kind of like follow. And Isendale being the Ice Witch's like house, I guess, or like where this character lives, kind of makes sense if Garnok's Fury and like the magic energies that the Kallters are exposed to, it's probably like the reason why this character would live there. I think I just really over-explained that and I didn't need to, but hopefully that makes sense. So that's my theory about the Ice Witch and Isendale. I really hope they like return to this storyline, because I know they said they were returning to old storylines, and I think it'd just be really cool to see what it is, if it ends up being Katya and how they would like rework that, or if it ends up being like the Ice Witch and they're part of the Vala, or just like a separate character. I'm really interested to see that. And like where Isendale is, like how the inside of it looks, because right now it's only like a circle of fire and it only lights up when we are close to it, so maybe it's like a defense system in a way. But yeah, and then moving on to the updated fjords, I think that the updated fjords are going to look like the Gen 1 fjords, similar to the Frisians, and how those Frisians look like the Gen 1 Frisians instead of the Gen 2 or the Jorvik Frisians. And I know the Gen 3 fjords currently, which will end up being Jorvik fjords, they don't look like the Gen 1 fjords, and I know everyone really loves the Gen 1 fjords. So it would make sense if they made the updated version closer to the Gen 1 fjords. To end off this video about the Kallters, I'll put up a screenshot of the comment that was left on my last video, because in that last video, I think I mentioned that I was like kind of confused about why they were removed, because I don't think the company actually said why. It was just the players assumed that it was due to stereotypes and they removed it. But this comment kind of explains it way better than I could ever explain it, and it makes a lot of sense. But it might be because the company saw their inclusion in the game as being unimportant enough to easily remove without backlash, which is kind of sad, because I thought the Kallters were a huge part of the game and the fjords. So I don't know, I feel like it'd be nice if they were brought back in like a respectful way, and I think that they could definitely do that and bring them back with the fjords and with like updated Dino Valley, because I don't know, them not being in the game is like weird because they're still mentioned a lot. But yeah, that's just it. And yeah, sorry that this video was so delayed. This part of the video is why it was delayed, because I don't know, I just totally forgot about the Ice Witch, Isendale. So yeah, and let me know what your theories and ideas are and like what you would like for this area whenever they revamp it.